Hello. The reason I'm making this video is because I'm tired of seeing YandereDev act like he's the owner of the entire genre and can control what goes in and goes out of it. This is going to be a bit of a longer video and I won't have many edits since it's going to be so long. But basically, 16 hours ago, YandereDev has enlightened us in his subreddit for what has happened to him in 2020. Alright, so I'm not here to spread any hate, instead provide some analysis on his latest post. If this interests you, look up more information and come to your own conclusions. I'm here for my own opinions and points, as it's always good for further discussion. If you have any counterpoints, feel free to comment them. So, let's get straight into it. So, his TLDR is, a massive amount of misinformation was allowed to spread completely unchecked. Information caused hundreds of thousands of people to develop false beliefs. These false beliefs made them feel justified in doing things that aren't normally acceptable. Well, I guess I might as well do a TLDR as well. Basically, YandereDev isn't as innocent as he tries to portray himself and has yet to take responsibility for any of his problems. Instead, he blames them on everyone else, saying the world is against him. The funny thing is, he wants to keep it that way. Well, I'll maybe explain that later. I'm a little bit sleep deprived, so that'll make this video even better. So I know this arc was the last one he listed in his post, but I want to hit the more crucial points right now. The rip-off arc. I use a tool to decompile Undertale and extract all of its assets. I drop all of those assets into GameMaker and make a basic prototype. I added the main character sprite. I put a post-processing effect on the camera to make it look a bit more shiny. I name it Deltarune, the title that Toby Fox announced that he was going to use for his next game. I upload it and say, "Look at me, I recreated Undertale in 2 weeks." If I did that, the internet would tear me to shreds, right? You didn't recreate anything. You just stole Toby Fox's work and tweaked it a little bit. You can't use that title. He already announced his intention to use that title. I don't think he's ever heard of fan games before, but he is really assuming that Love Letter stole all of YandereDev. Just because they look similar and they both use Unity store assets that aren't yours to begin with, doesn't mean it's yours to use alone. In fact, without any evidence or script of the game, there's not even a prototype of it out that's playable. You can't prove he stole your things. You're spreading misinformation. The creator, Dr. Apes, stated on his first video ever, a video criticizing YandereDev's student mechanics, he states that he practically built a new school and was going to update it. This makes it a little bit hard to believe that he decompiled all your work just to destroy all of it and just to rebuild a small portion. Let's continue though. Maybe he'll explain it a little bit better. Nobody would allow me to get away with that. Right? Oh, so dramatic, my guy. Well, somebody extracted Yandere Simulator's assets, dropped those assets into Unity, created a very primitive game prototype, and made a trailer announcing their game. Despite the fact that their prototype only contained a fraction of their functionality of Yandere Simulator, a narrative was born that someone recreated the entirety of Yandere Sim in only 2 weeks. Even though it wasn't true, it was an entertaining concept. So that is the narrative that people spread. Quick note, he never said he recreated the entirety of Yandere Sim, but more of the basics that makes it a Yandere Simulator. So this means no one should blame the creator. He's just making a game. And he's also making a lot of claims that aren't backed up at all. Where's the stolen assets? Oh, was it the Unity assets that I mentioned before? If you took some time to read the FAQ, it says we edited the Aoi and Tachi models to look more anime. I love the style and the feel of them. It fits the game more. Note how it says Aoi and Tachi models, because that's where they got them from, on the Unity asset store, and it looks really similar to any of them. It's not Yandere Simulator's assets, because you don't own those assets. If they bought the package, they have the same rights as you to use it. I think that if YandereDev made a video pointing out the assets that he made, not borrowed or stolen, in Love Letter, that would be a more compelling argument than just stating he stole a game idea from me and it looks similar. Wow. Anyone can steal another game's assets and make a very simple prototype where a girl stabs people in a school environment. That's not impressive at all. In fact, it really shouldn't take 2 entire weeks to accomplish something so trivial. However, most people simply do not understand this. Instead of roasting the thief over and over fire, he actually received praise for stealing my assets and implementing the most basic bare bones mechanics of Yandere Simulator. This just blows my mind. He says that stealing shouldn't take weeks. 2 weeks, right? Has it crossed his mind that maybe the developers didn't fucking steal anything? That they actually developed everything from scratch? He's thinking everyone's out to get him, but maybe it's just a game developer just tired of seeing a game idea not being developed. Alright, whatever. This is proven how he posted 2 criticisms on Yandere Simulator before he decided to back up his talk by actually proving how much better his ideas were by putting it in an actual prototype. Also, who is he to criticize for using 2 weeks to make a simple prototype? The man spent 6 years unable to get a single rival out. Alright. YandereDev does not own the genre. He thinks he's the almighty creator who can strike down people at will, but he isn't. He's just another developer in that field who's over his head and can't believe when another developer uses the same idea as him. In fact, I don't even think this should be a problem for him. If he's really confident that his game is really better than the other one, why does he care so much? Is it because people are supporting that game more than his? Also, just a quick clarification. YandereDev says Love Letter implements the most basic bare bones of Yandere Simulator. Instead, it should be a Yandere Simulator. You don't own this genre, and it's really arrogant to say that you are the sole owner of this concept. Why? The answer is that he announced his project in a point of time when the anti-YandereDev sentiment was at an all-time high. The false narrative, YandereDev can code, caused people to yearn for another developer to provide another Yandere game. The false narrative of all of YandereDev's simulators models are from the Unity asset store prevented people from understanding this guy was actually stealing all my assets. The false narratives like YandereDev is a pedophile, prevented people from being capable of feeling empathy for me. I'll get into these claims later, but he is right that some people are yearning for another developer, as the current supplier is not meeting the demand, and if another person will, well then we support them. He makes it seem like he's the only capable person of providing a game good enough, despite him disappointing for the previous years. But the reason most of the audience is unable to feel empathy for you is because you don't give us a reason to be empathetic for you. Your code is being stolen because you had 6 years to create a game but were unable to? Well then, why should we feel empathy for you? You had so much time, and if you digged around too much, that's your fault for doing it. Imagine stealing all of someone's work and putting your name on it, but instead of being punished, you are praised and rewarded with an instant fan base because there is a massive hate bandwagon surrounding the person you stole from. I personally follow this new game because I feel as they are more trustworthy than YandereDev. They haven't done anything wrong yet, and I feel as if their production is actually going to be faster than the old simulators, so I don't find any fault with that. You, on the other hand, have yet to satisfy the audience, so they will move on from your game. It's not that hard. As for those voting for the new game just to spite you, have you ever wondered why? It's because they know they're going to get a reaction out of you. If you stop being predictable, reacting to every single little thing they do, they'll stop. Wow, they aren't joking when they called this planet Clown World. Maybe he's referring to his echo chamber, but I haven't heard anyone say that. After hundreds of thousands of people were tricked into believing that it's possible to recreate Yandere Sim within 2 weeks, my work was completely devalued and I began to receive a massive amount of harassment. I hate to say it, but he's playing the victim here. If YandereDev truly feels his game is better and has more than what the prototype has, then show what more there is. You can't be vague and say, oh, he's stealing all my work is being devalued. And it's like, what? You have to tell us what your game's making unique. What's different about it? What makes me want to support your game over the other game? Now that I think about it, actually, maybe his work wasn't devalued, but remained at the same value throughout. And it's only because of him hyping up his game that everyone thought it had more value than it ever had. And now we're just sort of realizing it. The reason I say this is, for example, if I were to compare the two games in their current states, what differentiates them between the two? Besides some minor tweaks and unique features, when I think of an actual murder simulator, I would assume, did you do the murdering? But you know, if you are a fan of the game and you feel inspired to make a fan game, in quotations by the way, there is nothing wrong with that. However, if you're a fan game, misinforms hundreds of thousands of people and causes them to harass the developer of the original game, then, if you have a heart, you'd recognize the damage you're doing and cancel your fan project immediately, especially if it's made with stolen assets. I don't think the problem is the fan game. If you're negatively being affected by something so trivial, there has to be problems lying beneath the surface. I don't think he understands that the fan game is just a prototype, and I don't understand how it's misinforming thousands of people. And then he wants them to cancel it. You can't just manipulate them saying, oh, it's hurting my feelings, so fucking cancel the game. Like, you deal with that shit. I don't know. Because the harassment was absolutely unbearable, I reached out to the developer of the game that had stolen my... Okay, the fucking quotations, man. He's trying to make it seem like he's not a real fucking developer. Bullshit right there. Had stolen my assets. How can you prove he stole your assets? And begged him to stop what he was doing. Because of the nature of the situation, I used very emotional language, such as, "You're ruining my life. You're destroying my project. You're ruining my career." Isn't that fucking, I forgot what it was, pathos or ethos or bullshit like that? He's fucking manipulating this guy. He's literally appealing to emotion, trying to make him feel pity. You'll see this appear later on, but that's such a bitch move. Oh shit, sleep deprivation kicking in. That's why I'm swearing a lot now. At one point, I told him he was ending a person's life, which, within the context of the conversation, was very obviously a reference to the fact that he was ending my career. No fucking shit, take it at face value, idiot. Ending a person's life? Yeah, okay, fine, it could mean that. But if you take it at its face value, ending a person's life, that fucking relates to suicide, idiot. And also, why does it matter so much to you? You said on your debunk page that you don't care about the money. If you truly didn't care, wouldn't you prioritize your mental health beforehand? Just a quick reminder, you can pause your Patreon account for a certain while so you can take a break. Sounds like someone needs to do this, right? You know, just like log out of Twitter, log out of Reddit, no one give a fuck about him, and then, you know what? No more hatred. The conversation ended on a positive note. Wow, so cool. Then he posted the screenshots of our conversation and claimed I suicide baited him. And people just believed him, even though the screenshot he posted didn't have any references to suicide in it. Okay, it's either you're ignorant or because that fucking obviously ending life, suicide, you dumb piece of shit. Whose fault is it for being vague? Okay. Yeah, this ain't even clown world anymore. This is just nightmare world now. Alright, the second arc, or the first arc if you want to say it, the Discord Speedrun Ban Arc. Oh my goodness, I'm kind of sweating right now. Character development shit. In the early morning of January 20th, 2020, while I was asleep in my bed. Oh boy, dude, that's kind of hot. Someone spammed pictures of my face in my Discord server. A moderator banned him for spamming. After getting banned, this person went to Twitter and said, "YandereDev banned me for posting this picture of his face. I wasn't even the one who banned him, and he wasn't even banned because he posted my face. However, even though it wasn't true, it was an entertaining concept." Just remember that. That's sort of a motif around this fucking post. It's kind of retarded, but it's a motif nonetheless. So that is the narrative that people chose to spread. The reason why he did this in the first place was because, in his own words, he was thirsty for internet clout. I know this because he messaged me to apologize for the shitstorm he started and said so himself. I like how he's like so proud of that shit. But here's the thing about the apology. The apology is filled with guilt. And it seems that he had the idea that YandereDev was going to kill himself. There's not even a date listed, so we can't even trace back when this was like posted. He didn't feel guilty that he caused the shitstorm. He was guilty that he was going to be responsible for causing one of the factors that he killed himself. Hypothetically, of course. I'll put it in quotations, so don't take it seriously. I also like how the apology says not to let all the hate get to him, but it clearly did, didn't it? He's still talking about it like fucking 10 years later. And that's why all these videos are getting good views. Once a false narrative had been created that YandereDev is super sensitive about these old pictures of him and gets super mad at and bans you if you post his face, a lot of people showed up to my Discord server purely to spam pictures of my face and get banned. The reason why this became popular is because it wasn't framed as harassment. It was framed as a fun game. The idea was to get a speedrun getting banned and compete for the fastest time. Thank you for, I know what the fuck a speedrun is. Hold up. He insinuates that it was actually harassment. So let me just pull up the definition. Harassment is unwanted behavior which you find offensive or which makes you feel intimidated or humiliated. If you say it is harassment, that means you did find it offensive. And if you are offended by it, you are super sensitive about these old photos. If you make something fun and funny, tens of thousands of little kids will start doing it without a second thought. Remember the Tide Pod challenge? Kids actually put laundry detergent into their mouths, not because it was actually fun to have soap in your mouth, but because it was a fad. Little kids will literally do anything, no matter how stupid. If they think it is... Wait, what the fuck? I think he meant to say smart, or What the, what's the point of saying no matter how stupid? Because stupid, what the fuck? Okay, if they think it is guaranteed to get them attention, likes, tweets, and reviews, and fucking social media, Reddit, gold. So I will agree. I will say there are fads out there that are retarded, and little kids, and even grown kids, no matter how stupid, they will do those type of actions because it's just popular. The problem I find is that the Tide Pod challenge you list depends solely on one person, while your bans don't. Alright, so that's a bit vague, so let me explain. You have a kid eat a Tide Pod and record it and post it on like social media. He doesn't need anyone else to be there, so it's fully his responsibility. On the other hand, your Discord moderation has the opportunity to end the speedrun challenge by not responding harshly to memes, like not banning them, maybe timeout or something, not even responding at all. It's fucking memes. If they don't get a response from posting their memes, they're gonna have to attack more aggressively, and in the end, they are the one that makes them look like the assholes, and then the community will be on your side. See how you have to play their game? You force them to make the move to look bad. You don't take the initiative, because no one likes censorship. That's it. People blindly believe whatever they hear and jump onto bandwagons at the moment's notice. If someone had started a rumor that Toby Fox hates cats and will ban you from a server if you post cats, people would have been spamming in his Discord instead. People even did ban speedruns on the US Army Discord. People didn't decide to speedrun my server because I did something bad or I deserved it. It was because it was a complete... What the fuck is this guy saying? It was a completely spontaneous phenomenon that started because one dude created a false narrative that was entertaining enough to catch on. Hold up, objection, fucking bullshit. I have to address that last part first because it's either you're ignorant to all of the drama or you're trying to play innocent to little kids. I'm not going into any of the evidence that goes against you because there are much better videos out there that explain it. But in short, you were not innocent. And you cannot say, I didn't do anything bad, fucking asshole. In the case of Toby Fox, yeah, if he hypothetically said that, he would get certain, like, small amount of trolls that would get in there and, like, get banned and shit. But not many people would join in. Wonder why? Because he hasn't done anything wrong. The majority of people will usually side with the good guys, and you'll see this in the next example. YandereDev lists the US Army Esports Discord raid as a prime example of why it's just a fad. But here's the thing, the US Army Esports Discord was raided for a cringy tweet that was made on June 30th, 2020. Notice how all the trolls were attracted to them because they did something bad? All of these speedrun bans were made after this uwu tweet for only 2 days. I looked it up and I can't find a single run made in the last 3 weeks. While they did act, strangely on the least, on Twitter, no one else had any other motivation to attack them. And guess what? They stopped attacking. Because in the end, they were the ones that looked bad. I'm not saying that you should be attacked, but you can't claim that you didn't anything do bad, or can't be called out for it. On a side note, are these speedruns really hurting your feelings, dude? I know, I'm so sorry for you, dude. They consumed the cum chalice like a little bit too offensive for you? Sorry. We'll get you your safe space. Obviously, if someone enters an online community for the sole purpose of spamming, anyone would say that it would make sense to ban them right away. My moderators banned anyone who is spamming or posting troll images, which is exactly what moderators are supposed to do. I wasn't even awake at the time. I was not there banning people there manually for hours on end. However, even though it isn't true, it is an entertaining concept, so that is the narrative that people chose to spread. Dude, is he fucking reading us like a bedtime story or something? He's literally appealing to little kids. What the fuck? Okay, but I will have to agree on this point though. Yes, spamming does break the rules, and they should be forced to enforce them. However, they are spamming because they are frustrated with the lack of development on the game. So you have to just man up, take it on the chin, and fucking move forward instead of taking it on the chin and, I don't know, consuming the cum chalice or some shit like that. Because of the objective of the competition was to get banned as soon as possible, people began spamming things that universally result in an instant ban. Gifs of people getting killed, dead. What is this guy saying? Most of these people bragged on Twitter about people bragged on Twitter for spamming on it, but no one posted any of that shit. He's acting, what the hell is he talking? Oh, it's just a funny, harmless prank that nobody should be offended by. However, there is a considerable what the heck? Did he fucking... Alright, he didn't even proofread his shit. Oh, I didn't even proofread my shit as well, though, so it's funny. There was a considerable number of people. Oh shit, dude, that's a lot of numbers. Who were spamming NSFL, not suitable for life images. Jeez, dude, that is extreme. Which is the side that Twitter didn't really see. This contradicts his other... He's acting ignorant and shit. Oh, they're spamming gore and shit. Like, shut the fuck. You are literally banning people for posting, "Are you coding, son?" memes. So stop acting like people are trolling or like posting disgusting things. What? How do I know? Well, it's because you can't post inappropriate things on YouTube or any social media. And if their sole purpose is to get attention and clout, they certainly won't get it that way, will they? Also, they will really receive more backlash than anything, as no one wants to see that shit. They went too far. These trolls are human too. They aren't psychopaths with a side hobby of killing animals. Alright, continuing on. Eventually, I woke up and checked on my Discord server. By this point in time, my moderators had been dealing with gore spam and bestiality spam for several hours straight. I bet they enjoyed it. They asked me if it would be okay to close the server temporarily until the fad died. Discord doesn't really have a close server button. The closest alternative was simply editing every role so that nobody was allowed to send messages. Okay, call me retarded or some shit, but I'm pretty sure Discord has an option so that people can't send any images. Like, what are they gonna say? Are they gonna say animal gore in the chat and you're gonna be so offended by it? You're just imagining it in your head. Not suitable for life text-to-speech bullshit? Like, you gotta be kidding me. There's other ways. You can't just close the fucking entire thing so no one was allowed. And also, you just gave them a reaction. They consider it a win. If you really want to see a fad die out, you just wait it out. That's how most raids end anyway, right? My Discord server was originally created for my Twitch subscribers. It would be unfair if my Twitch subscribers were disallowed from communicating purely because some people were spamming, so I gave my Twitch subscribers the ability to send messages. This caused some of the people to develop the belief that I had set up a paywall, in quotations again. Don't ignore that. So that people could only talk on my server if they paid me money, even though it wasn't true. It was an entertaining concept, so it is the narrative that people chose to spread. I don't understand how this isn't a paywall. They give you money in the form of a Twitch subscription, and they can access more content. Yes, you may have had the intention of letting non-spammers to talk, but a paywall is still a paywall. On a side note, I don't really know how he manages to sound really condescending. He's like talking to little kids or some shit. It's like we don't know what he's talking about and he knows all. He hasn't evolved from this character arc, just a heads up. So there's another arc, so we have to just hope for the best. The YouTube character Assassination arc. Guys, I just moved to the toilet, so don't mind if my mic sounds like shit. But let's continue on with this YouTube character Assassination arc. Kinda interested, dude. I'm on the edge of my seat. Or toilet seat, at that point. By this point, you've probably noticed a pattern. People prefer entertaining narratives over boring truth. This didn't magically start to happen in 2020. It's been happening for the previous 5 years of Yandere Simulator's development as well. Over the course of half a decade, a lot of misinformation and mistruths have been stacking up. YandereDev is milking his Patreon. YandereDev supports pedophilia. YandereDev is rude to his fans, YandereDev can code, etc. None of these claims are true, and I've debunked each one of them, despite there being a video debunking the debunk, but that doesn't matter. If the truth is boring, then nobody is gonna spread it. If a narrative is entertaining, then it's gonna spread like wildfire. Here's my only problem. He glorifies all of his actions, and he pretends that every single thing he does is the right action to do in it. He doesn't see that there's other choices or actions he could have done that would like lead to less backlash, but he just believes that everything he's been doing is right. It's basically irrational escalation. Everything he does just keeps stacking on top of it until he just tumbles down and just falls over and dies. I think he needs a little bit more self-awareness to realize that he isn't perfect and he does mess up. He just needs to take responsibility of it. I like how he says that it's all misinformation, like 100% mistrue. But the one thing he doesn't realize is that all claims and accusations come from a seed of truth. At least I think so. Let me go quickly through the claims. YandereDev is milking his Patreon. In his debunk page, he answers that he isn't promoting his Patreon, and he's making a AAA game with controversial content and is burnt out from all the harassment, and is releasing a major update every 2 weeks. What the truth doesn't mention is There hasn't been a major update in months. He hasn't been open about the development. There hasn't been any major features that we know what's going to come out. And to be honest, I read a couple of the latest updates and they're just bug fixes. I don't know where the major update is. What do you even consider a major update? That the bugs are still in the game? But okay. YandereDev supports weird children thingy-majig. Obviously, the way he puts it, it's exaggerated. But it comes on from the fact that he doesn't outright condemn those who do have those orientations because he sees it as a mental illness. So it's like a little on the line. And also his game, underage children, maybe. And maybe a little on the line, 18, but okay. He wants some perverted features. That's okay too, I guess. But no, that's all misinformation. Okay. YandereDev is rude to his fans. Well, yeah, he is right. He isn't rude to his fans. He's rude to everyone else, though. Oh, no, but he says only to the 0.2% of people, just a small minority of people. But then he just fuels the fire by just responding to it. If he outright ignored it, the majority of the community would support him. But every single time he responds, it's so condemning against him that it's really hard to side or empathize with him. And then, YandereDev can't code. Maybe you can code, but I don't want to wait 7 years for a working game. Okay, you may be saying, he has a lot of mental issues and stuff. Then shouldn't he prioritize that first? I think we can wait on a game. We can, there's this new game coming out. He can just take his little break. He can take his leave. Especially if he's not milking his Patreon. As I said before, just pause it. Take a break. No one's gonna care. Not to say that no one cares about you. Many drama channels do. Alright. Drama YouTubers seek to make videos about topics people that will guarantee lots of clicks and views, and thus ad revenue. Yes, correct. When drama YouTubers noticed that tens of thousands of people on Twitter were talking about me, I instantly became the next target of the drama community. You don't just become a target for no good reason whatsoever. You become a target because of your previous actions. Especially how he portrays himself as some innocent person being caught up in all this drama. That's not right at all. Okay, so I recently watched this one video by Lemon about in defense of Behind the Meme. It was a pretty good video, which basically is saying that not all people on the internet are cynical assholes, basically, and that he doesn't want to hate on him, and he actually feels bad and pity for the person. That's what I think YandereDev is actually trying to go for. He's literally trying to pretend he's some naive person that doesn't know what he's doing, despite his history disagreeing with it completely. The difference between Behind the Meme and YandereDev is that Behind the Meme has done nothing really morally incorrect or wrong, besides his suicide video fakeness, I think, that Empleman mentioned, which was really bad, but he didn't know any better, but he was trying to do it for the greater good. YandereDev, on the other hand, he's trying to pretend that he's making this game for the greater good of everyone, but he isn't. YandereDev hasn't, quotation marks, YandereDev hasn't actually done anything seriously bad and isn't really a bad guy, is not a fun or entertaining statement, and is not a true statement as well. That isn't going to get you any clicks or views. YandereDev is a pedophile scam artist who bans people for posting his face is a much more sensational narrative that is guaranteed to get millions of views, so that's the type of video that people made. Drama YouTubers compiled every false narrative and untrue accusation that had been created by the anti-YandereDev community over the past 5 years and produced videos that mischaracterized and misportrayed me. No, you portrayed yourself that way. The reason why these claims are still holding up is because there's evidence that supports the claims. The community has yet to see any reform in your character, so that's why we are less likely to trust you and why the videos still hold up. If they were actually untrue, like the claims made, especially, have you seen Drama Alert? Have you seen H3H3 Drama? When they made false accusations, they were called out and hated for it. You know why the rest of them have been so positively receptive? It's because it's true. Okay, I won't say true. I'll say supported by evidence. While you, on the other hand, on the other side, have no evidence. So who are we more likely to trust? I like how he mentions that those are the type of titles that people are making, because I haven't seen any of those types of titles appeared in my recommended or even in the search history. Going off the reform thing I was mentioning before, the one thing as well, he has yet to apologize for any of his past actions, and he believes everything he's doing is right, as I've said. Here's one time he actually apologized. It's pretty extreme. I'm sorry if you're sick of this subject. Twitch has a suggestion box. You can vote on suggestions. Here's mine. By never taking responsibility for your actions, you always give a platform for people to attack you on. I shouldn't have to dive deep in your debunk page to say that you said sorry to those who personally reached out to you, which I highly doubt, because I bet you blocked them right on spot. If you put a YouTuber's name in the title of your video, the YouTube algorithm will push your video to all of that person's subscribers. That's not true. Here's the thing, maybe it is pushed out to all of your subscribers. But the thing is, do all of them click on it though? And what's the problem with that? Shouldn't they be informed about the things you've been doing? Let the evidence speak for itself, and then you act on it, okay? Because drama YouTubers put YandereDev or Yandere Simulator in the title of their videos were instantly pushed to my 2.7 million subscribers, exposing my entire audience to false narratives and untrue accusations that previously only circulated in small places of the internet, resulting in a massive chunk of my audience losing faith in me and being brainwashed into joining the anti-YandereDev hate bandwagon. Here's the thing I like to think about is that he likes to say that, oh, these are all untrue and stuff, but if his audience were all adults, shouldn't they be able to like come to their own conclusions and not brainwashed? Unless they're like little kids, right? 11-year-olds? Oh, I don't want to lose 2.7 million of those, right? On a side note, occasionally when someone tried to get banned from my server, I asked them why they were doing it. Is this in the wrong category? Anyway, but okay. The majority of them said, I don't know, lol, for the meme. My friend told me to. The majority of them didn't even know who I was or what Yandere Simulator was. They didn't think of me as a bad guy who deserved harassment. They just knew it was a meme to harass me, and that's all the justification they needed. Occasionally, I asked them how old they were. The majority of them gave answers like 12, 13, or 14. That is the demographic that is drawn to drama, jumps on hate bandwagons, and harasses targets without a second thought. You know, here's a little exposed thing. Maybe you had a little typo, but you said someone. That's singular. Then you later said the majority of them and they. That means plural. They can refer to both genders, so the majority of them though, that's undisputably plural. Meaning you got all your information from one little kid, or you just thought of what kid would say that, and not everyone is hating you for the meme. The other problem I have with this as well is that he says he's not the one personally doing the bans, so how would he know what it is? Maybe he was on for that one time and his mods didn't instantly get a speedrun world record ban on them, and he's just like, why are you doing this? Like, here are some statistics you want to keep note of. 2.6 million people watched Kappa Kaiju's criticisms and the Right Opinions video. That's a lot of people who are informed of all of your past actions. They were given the facts, they created an emotion, and then they acted on the emotion. So to say that most trolls don't think you're a bad guy, you must be ignorant to a lot of things. Also on a side note as well, why hasn't he responded to the actual videos that were criticizing him? I find it funny how he's backed into a corner by all these videos and exposed stuff, and then all he does is play the victim. It's not even a fight or flight anymore. He's literally just playing the victim. He's trying to turn the people cornering them against each other, but it's not working. False narrative arc. Throughout the first half of 2020, more and more misinformation spread at an alarming pace. These false narratives had a very significant effect on what would happen next. In the second half of 2020, Yandere Simulator's character models were purchased from the Unity asset store. This was never a secret. I openly talked about it in a YouTube video years ago. There are also a handful of other models that were purchased from the asset store, such as the bushes, hedges around the school, and the boats that you can see in the distance when you're in town. I like how he mentioned the boats. I didn't... Okay. Thank you. Very, very major update, I bet. Very early in Yandere Simulator's development, I sometimes used models extracted from other video game I sometimes used models extracted from other video games as temporary placeholders. At this point in time, all of the models have been replaced. He's literally calling out Love Letter for using assets used from him. Has he realized that they may be temporary as well? It's also only been like 2 weeks into development. How does he know that's going to be the official gameplay? Maybe it was a typo, misinformation, my bad. Entertaining though, very entertaining. When I initially began developing Yandere Simulator, most of the environmental models and props were just white cubes. After a few months, these cubes were replaced with original models that were created for me by volunteers. Ever since that point in time, the majority of Yandere Simulator's assets have been original models created by volunteers, and only a very, very small minority of the game models were store-bought or temporary placeholders from other video games. Again, you can just relate this back to his other claims about the other game, about using other assets. So what's the problem there? If it's a prototype as well, a bare bones, you may say as well. How's it a problem for you if you're doing the same exact thing? Can't the other video games just complain about you as well? But okay. Despite these facts, there is a popular false narrative that Yandere Simulator is made entirely of Unity asset store models and stolen models. Even though that isn't true, it is an entertaining concept. So that is the narrative that people chose to spread. Fucking hit the chorus again of the song, my guy. Repeat. Yeah, I believe he really exaggerated that statement. Instead, I think the real claim is that the Yandere Simulator is based off Unity asset store models and other stolen models, and still looks like it. I will say that the way you present your narrative is a very entertaining concept, but very misleading and is spreading misinformation. Okay, so I'm not an expert on 3D game development, but I can say there are other great videos and more people who are more qualified to criticize this point, but that they offer suggestions and criticisms. If you are truly dedicated to improving your game, you should listen to them. I am receptive towards criticism. However, I refuse to tolerate misinformation. Oh shit, dude. Got a cranky ass. When people post false or misleading or ignorant statements, they are banned and their posts are deleted. When the other people see posts getting deleted and other people getting banned, they assume that the reason for the ban was because I didn't want to listen to criticism, thus leading to the creation of another false narrative that YandereDev can't take criticism, even though it isn't true. It's an entertaining concept. So that is the narrative that people chose to spread. So, see, the problem is, when you censor people because you believe what they are saying is misinformation without taking the time to understand where they came from, you close off all discussion and you come off as an asshole, and no one likes those people. By taking the time to understand where they come from, you can identify the source of the problem, where it's coming from, and then you can explain it on. It's sort of like how a discussion works. I didn't even read through his summary, but you know what? We'll go through it live right here. There was a certain behavior that normally isn't acceptable. Ridiculing and shaming a person, directly harassing a person, making videos publicly humiliating a person. All of these videos are considered to be cruel and damaging actions, things you shouldn't do. However, under a certain circumstance, it becomes acceptable when you believe the target is a bad person who has done bad things. Yeah. Okay. Alright, he's spitting straight up facts. Let's continue. If you adopt a narrative that someone is a bad person, then you open up possibilities for yourself. You open up the option of ridiculing and harassing that person without any guilt. You can feel like you're the good guy, taking down an evil bad guy. You can perform actions that are normally not justified. It is incredibly beneficial to adopt a narrative that someone else is a bad person. There are no downsides. Alright, he's right about so far. Third paragraph. If you were to stop looking at that person as a villain, if you were to admit that you were tricked into believing false information, you would not gain any sort of benefit. You would simply lose your ability to ridicule or harass that person, and you would have to confront the fact that you did something bad to another person. You would have to admit that you were shaming and humiliating a target who didn't deserve it. Just because you stop looking at a person as a villain, it doesn't change if they're a villain or not. If I were to look to a thief, and I was like, oh, he's not a bad person, and I would stop harassing him, that doesn't change the fact that he's a thief and a bad guy. And he does deserve it, technically. Well, yes, I would say, oh, he doesn't deserve it because I don't view him as a bad guy. It doesn't mean that he isn't a bad guy. So he's basically saying that he shouldn't be getting hate because he isn't a bad person. Because he thinks that everyone's viewing him as a bad person. Again, it's like the Emp Lemon video with Behind the Meme. I really believe he's actually trying to play ignorant and he's trying to pretend he's some naive, innocent person, but he isn't. There is evidence of it, and he just wants to cut off all discussion of it and make it seem. It's what you see nowadays, actually. You see a lot of echo chambers. Basically, everyone's all positive and stuff. I've seen a lot of videos recently about Pokemon and her fucking bullshit about like cutting off all censorship. Anyone who criticizes her, oh, there you go. Buy sponsor, buy, you're banned. No, name is banned now. Alright, it benefits you to believe the false narratives that paint a person as a villain. No, I have to adjust that right away. I don't think it's false narratives. Possibly there is, but it hasn't been disproven yet, and you have yet to give a valid response or anything that we can trust or even agree with, actually. I don't understand how you can't like justify your own actions. Just own up to your wrongs. Here's the problem now. He's dug himself so far in the hole, he can't get his way out anymore. Like, I doubt anything he'll do will be able to like free him from all of this hatred or whatever bullshit harassment. Fucking ass. What the fuck is he saying here? It does not benefit you to acknowledge the truth that the villain was never actually a bad guy to begin with. The villain is a bad guy. If there are facts out saying that the villain is a bad guy, then yes. Also, let me tell you why people are hating you? Because we don't think that you've been properly punished for all of the bad things you've done in the past. And we have yet to see any reform, and we have no reason to let you go unfree without any punish. That's why you see people outraging at you. It's because all of the things you've done in the past, you do not take responsibility for any of your actions, and you only continue to do wrongs. So, bad post, bad post. It's very predictable. They plug their ears and refuse to listen. That's really something. Coming from a person who censors people who says anything else than what he agrees with. They will continue and to believe whatever they want, as long as it entertains them and it makes them feel justified in the actions they wish to perform. I really believe that he's just reflecting on his past actions, to be honest. He's literally plugging his ears. And he doesn't listen as well. I read your post, my guy. What the hell are you... Let me do some analysis now. I know I've been talking shit for like the last hour or so. I don't fucking know how long this is gonna be. He's obviously writing this to naive little kids. He tries to portray that he's one of them. He's just another innocent person who just wants to make a game in a genre. That's not how he really is. The facts are out there. I know I'm being repetitive, but basically the next course of action, I believe, should be take a break from all of it, apologize for your previous actions, explain why all of them. You can't stop trying to deny them, saying, oh, they aren't all bad. Just admit you're wrong. People will be accepting of that. They'll be like, oh, maybe he is changing or some shit like that. But you know, continue to plug your ears or whatever.